racism I have experienced, I have experienced racism, comes from the modern left at a scale unimaginable, because I think they feel a sense of betrayal, saying that you're not speaking in the tone that you're supposed to. You literally did. So Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, I believe not in putting words in anybody else's mouth. I believe taking people at their own terms on their own words. Right? So I don't believe in straw men. Ayanna Pressley, she's in the Congress today. She's a member of the squad. Her words, not mine. We don't want any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't want any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. Literally word for word. I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. Ibram Kendi wrote the book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. I wrote Woke Inc. It was a pretty successful book. His sold more copies than mine. Here's what it says. Opening lines. The remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. So the other side will gaslight you when you say this stuff. It's like, oh, you're just making that critical race theory stuff up. No. These aren't my words. These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK. Really.
Woo! Ramaswamy attacks. Goes after the professional racist, the race hustlers of today. You know what? And Kendi, the most professional of professional race hustlers, clapped back. So we're going to see exactly what he said. But before we do that, let's see who Kendi is. So let's take a look at who Kendi is and watch till the end here, guys. I end this with the Babylon Bee satirizing the professional racists of today and how they're basically exactly like the KKK, which is hilarious. So watch it until the end. So here we go. This is Kendi.
So here are 5 tips on how we can be anti-racist. Tip 1, for us to stop denying that we have racist ideas, that we're in some ways supporting racist policies, that we are being at times racist. That's the first step, right? Because denial is the heartbeat of racism. We have to be constantly self-reflecting on ourselves, constantly self-critiquing ourselves, because that's what anti-racists do. While racists, they deny. No matter what they say, they turn around and say, oh, I'm the least racist person anywhere in the world. So tip 2 is confession. It's confessing the racist ideas we've consumed. Tip 3 is defining terms. If racism essentially leads to racial inequity through policy, then anti-racism essentially leads to racial equity.
Okay. I don't know about you, but I think Vivek is right over the target here, and that's why he's getting so much flack. So, number 1, acknowledge your racism. If you try to defend yourself and say that you are not a racist, well, that just makes you more of a racist, right? Absolutely. And you know who they're really talking about here. You know it. I mean, come on, you know it. They're talking about people who are non-melanated, as they would say. So basically, you're born and you're a racist. Okay, great. Confess your racist ideas. You have to have them. If you don't have them, then you're just denying that you have them. I don't know. That sounds kind of racist to me. Oh, and define racism. We need to define it. Well, let's see Kendi defining racism.
How do you define racism?
Sure. So racism, I would define it as a collection of racist policies that lead to racial inequity that are substantiated by racist ideas. Sure. A collection of racist policies that lead to racial inequity that are substantiated by racist ideas.
Wow. So racism is racism because of structural racism and because society is racist. Okay. Educated man. he studies racism and he has for quite some time. I guess he was just not prepared for the very difficult question of what is racism. Yes, very difficult. All right, let's see him trying to defend himself against Vivek, in where Vivek claims that he is like a grand dragon of the KKK, not that he is one. Let's see.
Ibram, you and I have had lots of opportunities to talk. I didn't think this would be one of them where I'm inviting you on air to disavow whether or not you have any affiliations or connections with the KKK. So let's just take the portion of your book that Vivek Ramaswamy quoted. It reads as following. The remedy for past discrimination is present discrimination. The remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination, end quote. This is from your book.
Hey guys, if you like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe and share. YouTube hates me.
Ramaswamy says that's racism. Explain.
Well, in the book, actually, I define discrimination, and I go to great lengths talking about a scenario in which, for instance, during the COVID pandemic, it was important for us to provide vaccine first for elderly people because they were the most likely to be dying as a result of COVID-19. That can be described as age discrimination, but it actually was an equitable policy that saved lives. And similarly, when Black people are deprived and have been deprived for centuries of rights and resources, how else are we going to create equity if not providing specific resources and rights to them? But of course, that's described as racism, which to me is very different than depriving people of rights, which is the problem we were talking about to begin with.
Okay, so this is super interesting. Depriving people of their rights. Okay? So he believes that discrimination is not depriving people of their rights, but giving people access to stuff, i.e. the vaccine example that he gave. Okay, well, that's great. Let's just throw out definitions completely. No word means what it actually means. I mean, we don't actually have a definition of discrimination. You can just make one up, Kendi, okay? So, but are you not depriving people of rights? I don't know. That Asian student that didn't get into Harvard, he might feel that he was deprived. We don't have unlimited job positions or college openings. If you're giving a job or a college position based on race, then you are depriving another person because of their race, which is the definition of discrimination.
What you describe in many cases is the affirmative action that many Republicans have now taken to calling reverse discrimination. Obviously, you've written books on this, so there's always context. It becomes very easy for people like Vivek Ramaswamy and others, he's certainly not the first Republican to do this, to take those words out of context. What do you do about that? You've been writing about this for a really long time. You're actually an expert on this particular topic. How do you deal with the fact that somebody just slings this comment? Really, it's a slur, calling you akin to a grand wizard of the KKK.
Well, I mean, as a scholar, all I can do is set the record straight and set the truth straight. And the fact of the matter is that the modern Klan actually hates me. And you know who the modern Klan loves? The very candidate that Vivek praises every chance he gets, and that's Donald Trump, who, of course, described modern white supremacists as very fine people, who told them to stand back and stand by, who did nothing as they recruited or as they recruit white teens online, who has done nothing as they terrorize and murder people of color and Jews and Muslims and women. But Vivek is praising Trump. Even though he is the one who has made grand wizards of the Ku Klux Klan of old proud, and who are being supported by current grand wizards of the Ku Klux Klan.
This lie has been debunked so many times that once I actually tried to search Google to find the official quote from Donald Trump to debunk this lie on another one of my videos, and I couldn't find it. I've seen it tons of time, but mysteriously, it's really tough to find on the internet. Donald Trump, right after that sentence of "there's very fine people on both sides," said, we condemn wholeheartedly all those terrible people, those Nazis they should be condemned wholeheartedly, is a direct quote. He meant that some people wanted to keep a statue because it was historical, and some people wanted to take down the statue because of slavery, which are two valid positions. I love it when you lie straight to our face. And, okay, Donald Trump is encouraging the murder of women and blacks and Jews. I must have missed that press conference where he was doing that. Okay, all right.
Ibram, Ramaswamy doubled down on his comments after the town hall. He said, quote, "The fact that we're taught to see each other on the basis of our genetic attributes is something that would make the old wizards of the KKK proud." Tell me a little about this. This is another sort of oversimplification of a concept. He's saying the idea that people are talked about as black or white creates confusion and is part of the problem.
Well, the fact of the matter is how do we eliminate racism? How do we eliminate racial disparities and inequities where Black people are more likely to die at the hands of police violence, be impoverished, be incarcerated, die from heart disease and cancer, if we don't talk about race, if we don't identify by race, And so that's the fact of the matter. And they want to eliminate conversations about race so that they can hide racism. And if you hide racism, then they're able to hide their policies that are actually causing those disparities and inequities.
Let's just put aside these bumper stickers that he just rattled off. Most are incorrect, meaning you do not have a better chance of dying by a police officer if you're black versus white. Sorry, that's not what statistics say. Please look at one of my previous videos here. Yeah, how do we get rid of racism if we don't talk about it? Well, I like Morgan Freeman's answer to this. Here we go.
Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man. And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
I think that wraps it up. We're going to end it out here with the Babylon Bee showing how crazy these race hustlers have become.
It's time we made a comeback. Racism is hot. We practically invented it. So here's the plan. First, we'll start pushing for a segregated drinking fountain.
Actually, this might sound weird, but that's not racist anymore.
Come again now?
Segregation isn't racist. Can you believe that? But there are all kinds of new ways to be racist.
This is telling me now. I can't wait. This my curiosity. Well, okay, Glenn, let's hear it then.
Next time you see an African American, you tell them this. You don't see color at all.
That sounds not racist.
It's racist now. Can you believe that? We can be racist and congenial all at the same time.
You are diluting my racism, and I don't like it. Racism is hatred. It's looking down on someone as subhuman simply on account of the color of their skin. You water it down like that, it becomes nothing. I mean, if everything is racist, nothing is.
Have you guys heard about critical race theory? Get this, we don't have to do anything to be racist. CRT says we're racist simply because we're white. That's all it takes, CRT!
Full link to the Babylon Bee video is below. They've got a couple of these, so go check them out. So Vivek was right. These guys are basically just like those people in white hoods. Thank you so much, guys. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.